if you can hear me, and we will get started in a second. Okay. All right. So, all right. Okay. So, let me see here. Let me actually, well, whatever. So the reason why I'm doing this live stream today, it's kind of impromptu. It's late at night and I should be sleeping, but I can't, because I received a pretty nasty email, and it kind of hit on something that I've been like mulling over in my mind. Like, it's just something that I've kind of been going through, like not going through, but just thinking about really heavily. And it's been on my mind, and I've been really, I will say, like, frustrated by it. And as many of you know, I have been doing a series on the whole like save our breed thing. And it's kind of it's kind of brought up some things for me. So our very first live stream, when I announced it on my Instagram channel, there was a YouTuber, and normally I don't like to put people on blast. I've had issues before where I've had issues with other breeders, and I talked about it openly, and then I got kind of accused of being a bully and trying to smash smaller breeders than myself. And I had decided at that point that, I was just going to really try to focus on positive, and I wasn't going to engage in stuff like that openly on my channel. But this individual basically came for me in a public way on this Instagram post, and I got accused of, after somebody saw it, so this person kind of came for me. We had a disagreement, and it dissolved into accusations. And one of the accusations that was made against me was that, which is one that I've actually heard a lot. It's kind of like the new rumor going around about me, was that I have a lot of issues with my breedings. And I'll read to you exactly what this person said. And I'm going to talk about this person by name later on, but not right now, because I need to be able to show my receipts. That's how I am. I like to be able to show receipts. I don't want to make statements that I cannot back up. And right now I'm not in the mood to go through and put all my screenshots onto my, I'm like, thought about it, but anyway, but regardless, you can actually find this statement on my Instagram post. If you go to my Instagram and you look at the post where we have Jimmy Stanchio's picture, it's the first time I was talking about the live stream, you'll find this comment. So this is something that can be easily verified. So I first want to say that this is an individual that many people on my channel asked me to contact this person and offer my assistance, because this individual was unable to control their dogs and was kind of making a mockery of themselves online. And everybody on my channel was like, look, one of her dogs is going to kill the other one if you don't contact this woman. So I did. I contacted her. And she then contacted me through text message. I have all of that. And I helped her with how to manage her dogs. Whether or not that helped or not, I don't have any evidence of that. You can look at her channel. You can look at the date that I talked to her, look at her channel, and realize that she didn't post any more videos about her dogs fighting. But I don't have anything written stating that what I did helped her. What I do know, though, is that I took time out of my time, which I did not need to do, to help this woman. And I've also reached out and helped her with other things as well. And I'll show those screenshots as well, where she was thanking me and telling me that I'm a nice person, yada, yada. And all of this kind of dissolved over this whole standard thing. And the person was basically making an accusation that there isn't a standard that they have proposed for us to be so upset about. And unfortunately, there is, and I'll have to get that as well. Like I said, all this will be put up later, but there is proof that they are going to be putting forth a standard. It has not been put forth yet. We don't know what's in it yet. We only know the information that we've seen, which is the last post that I made on my Instagram about I posted a image of a head that is not a Corso head. And then, of course, we know what they breed, right? So we can kind of make a judgment and an assumption based upon what we know is in their kennels, what we've seen them post so far. And I think that the most important thing to recognize about what we've said is all we've been doing is trying to get membership up in the breed club so that if anybody was to ever, at any point in time, let alone these people, at any point in time, put forth a standard that does not benefit the breed because it actually makes the breed look different or changes the standard, that there are people there to stop that from happening. Okay, so there doesn't need to be a standard proposed or written at this time for that to be relevant. And this individual decided to be very condescending and rude towards me, and this and the conversation dissolved into personal attacks. And like I said, this is an individual that I have helped. In fact, not only did I help her with her dogs, but she got really sick and tired of everybody posting on her channel for her to ask me for help or blah, blah, blah. And I actually told her how to block my channel name from showing up under her filter for her comments, so that if anybody mentioned me or my channel, it wouldn't show up in her comments. Okay. Didn't have to do that, but I did, because I don't care if, it doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? Like if it's bothering her, I was trying to be nice, fine. If I didn't have a problem helping her. And this individual came for me in a way that I felt was below the belt. It's one thing for us to have discussions about what each other knows about the breed, how long we've been in the breed, how much we understand about the standard. But this individual made a comment, and she said, and this is part of the comment, and she said, at some point, you need to ask yourself why you have more breed issues than any other breeder. Now, like I said, this is something that I've seen now. Like I said, multiple people have made accusations now that I've had many multiple litters die, whole litters die, which is patently false. I haven't even had one entire litter die yet. The closest I've come to that is Trinity's litter, and it had absolutely nothing to do with, with my breeding practices or, anything like that. It had to do with a virus. And um, and so what I mentioned back to her and what I have told to other people is that I'm the only breeder that I've ever seen that shows the reality of breeding the way that I do. I haven't ever seen anybody talk about their hiccups, their losses, their tragedy when breeding. Um, I just haven't. The most I've ever seen from a breeder is like if a dog from a litter dies, they might mention, oh, well, so and so from this litter, got their, angel wings today or whatever. And so for this individual, who, mind you, as far as I understand it, has only ever had one litter, for that person to judge me when all I've ever done is help them is just uncalled for. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like it actually like made me like not want to help people anymore. Because when this individual wanted me to when this individual when everybody was asking me to help this person, I really was just kind of like, like I wasn't sure that I really wanted to. I don't like to kind of, you know what I mean? Like if somebody I have lots and lots of videos of what I do, you know what I mean? So it just kind of felt pushy to ask, but I tried to be polite and I was just like, hey, if you'd like some help, I can help you out. And like I said, went out of my way to help this individual. We've talked on multiple occasions, and I'll talk about this later, but there were some red flags that I didn't quite pick up on, and I should have. And I have this tendency to be a little too trusting in people. Reese has, on numerous occasions, you guys know Reese, numerous occasions has had to kind of like tell me, hey, look, I don't know how I feel about this person. And sure enough, she's always right. Reese has a much better ability to assess a person's true intentions than I do, which might sound kind of weird, but I think there's a part of me that always wants to try to see the good in people. And so I tried to like kind of, be friends with this person. I thought, well, you know what, we're YouTubers and we should all kind of, bond together and work together and blah, blah, blah. And I included Reese in some of our conversations, and Reese kind of had some little warning things come up, and she can talk about that whenever we do talk about this. But she was the one that kind of had noticed some red flags. And then, like I said, all it took was a post about a potential standard change. So this really, for me, it's like, the way that I see it is if somebody helps me, if somebody is nice to me, if somebody reaches out and is nice to me, I'm going to be nice to them and I'm going to be respectful. And I believe in loyalty. So we may not agree on everything, but like, let's say, for example, that somebody posted something that I didn't agree with, but we're friends. Then out of respect, I just wouldn't say anything. I would just keep my mouth shut, because everybody has the right to have their own opinion. And if I really felt strongly about it, I would contact that person personally. This individual had my phone number. She was friends with me on Facebook. We had multiple messages between us. She could text me, or she could have private messaged me on Instagram. But instead, she decided to post publicly on Instagram and basically try to talk down to me and fool. And it didn't work out. And that's whenever the person kind of stooped to lying. Like, for example, this person had admitted to me on the phone that their dog had temperament problems. We talked about the bloodlines that this individual is working with that are known for having some temperament problems. And everything was honky-dory, everything was fine until this individual started to get connected to people that are and this is like the politics of our community. So this individual started to get involved in the politics of the breed club. And she's now a member of the breed club. I want to say that she's even part of the committee. And so she's a little busy bee. And because she got accepted into this community, now all of a sudden she, I guess, feels that, she doesn't need me anymore. She doesn't need to be friends with me anymore because she's friends with these other big people, and she decided that she's going to come for me. And this is only going to be addressing a part of what is going on with her. We will discuss. I talked with Reese about it. It's just been like grating, and I'm the kind of person, I'm honest to a fault. Okay, the fact that I'm even having to discuss this right now with you guys is because I'm honest to a fault. Most breeders hide their mistakes. They hide their troubles and their issues. They don't show this stuff. If I didn't live stream my births, and if just one day I just made a video, oh, well, so-and-so had this many puppies, and you'd never know that we lost any, you'd never know we went to the vet, you'd never know anything. I could do that. I could hide all of my trouble if I wanted to, but I don't, because I believe in transparency, I believe in education, and I believe in being honest. And so I don't hide that stuff, as easy as it could be to protect my reputation, and all that stuff. I don't, knowing that it could potentially hurt me. And the fact that she made that comment, and other people have made that comment, is evidence of the fact that it does hurt me. My honesty does hurt me. And I would expect it from people that are just haters. You know what I mean? I would not expect it from somebody that I went out of my way to help when I had no need to do so. Not only did I help this person, but many people have tried to call this person out on my YouTube channel on live streams before, basically asking me to comment on her videos, and I didn't. In fact, I want to say that I even deleted some of the messages and stuff, because I was like, look, yeah, she's got some problems. Yeah, she's got some mistakes, but you know what? She's, nice, and she's trying. And so I did not speak on it, even whenever I could have. So for this individual to come for me and to say something as nasty as that over a simple discussion over the breed standard, for me is completely, uncalled for. And I see it as backstabbing and fake. And I see this person posting on, this person is really and truly, you have to excuse my cats, they're running around, is really and truly a nobody. I'm just being honest. I'm not being mean when I say that. They're not really well known. They don't really have much accomplishments, especially whenever they started their YouTube channel. They just made a bunch of videos talking about their dogs fighting. They had so many ads on the website, I could hardly even look at it. I don't even have any ads on my website. Zero, none. And I did see this person as potentially kind of, milking the money. But like I said, it's America. Do what you want to do. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit and say anything, criticize you, whatever. Some of us are that way. Some of us aren't. Fine, whatever. And I think, like I said, I let it go. I noticed that there were some things, you know what I mean? But like I said, I don't know. I've done a lot in my life. I've kind of been down. I haven't had the best life. I've had a rough life. I've been through a lot. I'm the last person to throw stones. You know what I mean? I'm not. I will defend myself. I will, fire back when attacked. But I don't feel the need to go around judging everybody, if that makes sense. So even though I noticed that this person probably shouldn't be trying to educate people on YouTube when the person doesn't really know anything, I just kind of was like, whatever, you know what I mean? There's plenty of people doing it, right? Um, so anyway, so this live stream is to address the accusation that I have more problems in my breeding program than other breeders, because that is the accusation that has been levied against me by her and by other people. And it's completely, it is a misrepresentation of dog breeding. And I just want to get it out there. And this is not just her; she's not the only one that said this, but she's just kind of doing the whole follow the leader thing, and she made this accusation. And like I said, I got an email today from a girl who, psh, you cats, quit it! You guys were just fine until I started live streaming. Hold on. Shut my bathroom doors so that they can't run crazy. So anyway, so this person who wrote me this email basically accused me of bullying this person, that I have this loud mouth, and that this other person doesn't have a loud mouth, and maybe they're new, but that doesn't give me the right to bully them and attack them, yada, 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 which is completely false. That is not at all what happened. I did not come on her page. I did not say anything to her. She did it to me. Go. You guys need to be separated. Now they're trying to run around my room. So it's a complete misrepresentation of the facts. So what we're going to be talking about today is like I said, what I've been accused of, which is having more problems in my litters than other people. Now, like I said, if you know of another breeder who live streams the birth of their puppies and who lets you know every single time they lose a puppy, I would love to know who that is, because I've never seen anybody do that. So I don't know of anybody that has an accurate representation of what kind of results other Corso breeders are having within the birth of their litters and the what's the word I'm looking for? Mortality rate of their litters. Okay. I don't know of anybody. The only person that I knew of that actually talked to me about this was one of my mentors, Lee Chapman. And we were talking about Cashmere and how big of litters I had with Cashmere and how many puppies I had live. And he used to always remark to me how lucky I was. And he said, Rachel, he goes, you need to be aware that this breed is hard and you will have problems. And he goes, just recognize you're lucky, but don't get used, don't, because there was a girl that I'd worked with. I had bought a puppy from her before, and she was up all night pulling puppies out. And I remember being really kind of intimidated by that, because when I bred pit bulls, I didn't have to pull puppies out. And I told him that, and he was like, well, he goes, what you were breeding. And at the time when I was breeding these dogs, I did not know that, because it wasn't common knowledge that people were mixing dogs back then. But as far as those lines, they were all ADBA registered pit bulls. We thought they were. There wasn't Facebook where people were talking about all the mixing, blah, blah, blah. The only way that I even found out that the pit bulls that I thought were pit bulls weren't really pit bulls was because of the messages that I would get from people attacking me. And I had to join some game dog forums to actually realize what was going on. But long story short, I didn't have those problems. And when I told him that, he said, that's because you're dealing with kind of like a mixed breed dog, basically, which in all reality, I hate to kind of say that, but that is the truth. I wish I knew what I know now, but I didn't. And so the reality is that the, mixed breed dogs, mutts, stuff like that, they do have like easier labors. At least that's what he said. And I believed it because I didn't have those problems. And maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's just that these dogs are particularly big, and that is a risk factor. And they have broad heads. That's a risk factor. They're brachycephalic, so that's a risk factor. So they have, big litters. That's another risk factor. So we're putting all these things together. It increases the odds that we're going to have problems. But long story short, that's what he told me. And so he's the only person that had ever been honest with me about the fact that this breed can be prone to having birthing issues and that losing puppies is a reality of breeding Corso. So that's the only person that I knew of. And he's always been very honest with me. So anyway, so I trusted him. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over the definition of what is called, because we're going to be talking about this a lot. So it's what is it? Dystocia. So it's an abnormal labor or birth. Fetal dystocia. Yeah, dystocia. That is due to the shape, which I just mentioned. They're big dogs. Size or position of the fetus, which many of you know during my live streams. More often than not, the puppies that don't make it are actually born what is called posterior, which means that the rear of the dog is coming down first. Now, there is maternal dystocia, which is due to some condition inherited in the mother. And then there's placental dystocia, difficulty delivery of the placenta. So this is a term that has many meanings, right? It's not just one thing, okay? So here we have a study on diagnosing it and managing it, okay? And let's see here. So they talk about the birth here, and then here are how we would diagnose it. So you would a definite cause as apparent, fetus lodged in the birth canal, right? Well, I had that with 2 dogs. One of them was Blondie. Blondie had a puppy die in the vet said that he thought that the puppy died probably a day or 2 before she went into labor, and another puppy was trying to come out. So when you have a fetal death, there is the puppy enlarges in size, right? And so they fill with gases, normal process of decay. And so there was another puppy that was trying to come out. And what ended up happening is that one of the I think the dead puppy ended up sideways, and it caused the uterus to rupture because of the force of the contractions on the pressure on that. It caused basically like a traffic jam and caused the uterus to rupture. Okay. So, and we had the one that was lodged in the birth canal. In fact, he said it was very hard for him to get that puppy out. So there's one. Strong and persistent contractions fail to result in the delivery of the puppy within 30 minutes. That's just an example of how you would know there's a problem. Weak or infrequent contractions fail to produce a puppy within 4 hours. And here we're talking about reasons why it might happen. Uterine inertia. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's basically where the uterus fails to contract properly to actually birth the puppy. Okay. And oftentimes those, like, for example, I had that problem with Cashmere's last litter. She needed calcium. And upon given calcium, she was able to deliver her litter. So let's see here. All right. So So fetal factors that may result in dystocia, malrepresentations, which is what I said, the puppy's not coming out the right way. You guys may know I had a puppy in Trinity's litter when I was pulling out. That one was a true breech puppy. So the puppy was belly up, but out, could not get the back legs. All I could feel was the tail. Very scary. I had to kind of pull on the I think that speaks for itself. Fetal malformations and fetal death, which is exactly what happened with Blondie, and it also happened with Belladonna, the puppy that she was trying to deliver had passed away. Let me see here. Now here we have where it's talking about the posterior, right? So that's where the puppy is coming butt first, and that is considered normal in dogs and cats, occurring in approximately 40% of deliveries. Fetal oversize is another potential cause. Most common, and here we go, most commonly seen with single pup pregnancies. That was Belladonna. Fetal death is an infrequent cause, which is what we saw with Belladonna and Blondie. Increasing likelihood of malrepresentation because of failure to rotate and extend the head and legs, which often causes it. Let's see here. Diagnosis. We know what the diagnosis is. Here's all of the reasons why it could happen. And then there's the, so identifying, here we have the identifying risk factors for canine dystocia and stillbirth. So risk factors including colony, litter size, age of dam. Let me see here. Risk factors for canine stillbirth includes dystocia, cesarean, litter size, and breed. Stillborn pups had longer, well, let's see here. Okay, so risk factors identified for dystocia were colony, litter size, age of dam. So small litter size, so meaning five pups had the highest dystocia rate of 36.5%. As I had said with Velocity's first litter, when the smaller the litter size, the more likely there is to be a problem. Large litter size, 9+ pups, had an intermediate dystocia rate of 26.9%, and medium-sized litter had the lowest of 22.1. Dystocia risk increased as the age of the dam increased, which is one of the things I've talked about on my channel, which is why we breed our females on the second heat instead of waiting until they're 3+ years old, blah, blah, blah. You're really increasing the odds that you're going to have problems with a dog. So stillbirth risk factors were evaluated for 19,577 pups, and the overall stillbirth rate was 5.9%. So risk factors identified for stillbirths were dystocia, litter size, cesarean section performed, and breed. Pups from litters that had dystocia were 2.35 times more likely to be stillborn than compared with normal litters born without dystocia. Let me see. Stillborn risk increased as litter size increased, meaning that it's very normal for a dog that has large litters to have that issue. And Cane Corso have large litters, in particular Cashmere, where we would always have one puppy that wouldn't make it. Pups from litters of 11 or more were 1.45 times more likely to be stillborn. So another one that let me see here. So in a retrospective study of 182 cases of canine dystocia, no relationship was found between either breed or age or occurrence of dystocia. However, medium-sized breeds between 12.7 and 20.5 kilograms body weight were slightly overrepresented. Now, it's important to recognize that these are two different studies. They're going to find different results, especially because this has a much smaller sample size. Okay, let me get my cat because he's being annoying. Come here. Go. Okay. He's trying to crawl on my lights. Okay, so of the females that had whelped previously, which means they've already had a litter, 42% had experienced dystocia. And recognize that 42% of the dogs had experienced dystocia. 42%. That's almost 50%. That is not a small amount. That is not a rare occurrence. Okay. And that was in only 182 cases, mind you. Okay. The dystocia was of maternal origin in 75.3% of the cases, mainly due to uterine inertia, which is, like I said, where they lose the contractions are not strong enough, while 24.7% were of fetal origin, mainly resulting from malrepresentations, malorientation. The most common reason for dystocia was primary, complete uterine inertia, 48.9%, and 40% of the females with this problem had small litters of only 1 or 2 pups, which is velocity. Okay? So all of these things, everything that's happened in my kennel is easily explained through science. The problem with a lot of breeders and people on the internet is that they don't want to do any research. They have a thought and then they just think, oh, well, that must be right. And it never occurs to them to actually fact check themselves, to actually look and see, to be curious, to say, well, looks like she's having a lot of problems. But you know what? Let's see if she is. Let's see if that's right. Because the last thing I would want to do is make an assumption about somebody that's incorrect. And the reason I'm like that is because I hate being wrong. It's like I consider that, it's like I'm not proud of that. You know what I mean? Like as a kid, I had a lot of opinions. My mother used to call me Rachel Wright. And you know, I thought I was super smart. And so I hated being proven wrong. And I used to kind of argue about it. And then I hated the feeling of not being able to admit when I was wrong, because it's like I knew in my mind when I was wrong, even if I wouldn't admit it, I knew. And it wasn't a good feeling. And I decided if I didn't want to feel that way anymore, then the only thing I had to do was always make sure to mention that I wasn't sure. Don't quote me on that. It's, you know, to say that I was thinking or whatever, you know, it was just I could be wrong, but, you know, you guys have heard me say that. And then I state my opinion. That way, nobody could ever say, oh, well, you know, you said that. I always can preface it and say, hey, you know what? I never said that I knew. I had an opinion. I said something. I thought something, but I never said, you know, that I knew for sure that it was true or not. And if I do say that, then I do my research on it so that nobody can sit and say, well, you're wrong. You know what I mean? I do my research. And a lot of people would just rather be wrong, but never admit it and just stick their nose in the air and walk away. And I don't know why, but I couldn't do that. I just couldn't do it. I think my mother would laugh at me over it. She would laugh at me. I got kind of like somewhat bullied by my mother. And she was also a very intelligent person, and not a nice person, but an intelligent person. And anytime she could point the finger at me and say, oh, you're this or you're that or you're blah, 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 she would. And so I've always tried to kind of minimize the times where I can be criticized, for that matter. I mean, at least in my character. Okay. That's why I'm so careful about what I say and what I do, and why I try to be so honest, and why I try to be so precise about the things that I say and do. So anyway, so back on topic. So we're talking about here, the most common treatment was calcium, which is what we did with Cashmere, and oxytocin, which I have. You guys have seen me administer oxytocin. We've done cesarean sections when necessary. I have not used forceps. I don't have forceps. I wouldn't know how to use them. I'm not sure I don't know. I wouldn't know anything. Of the females studied, 65.7% had a cesarean section. Pup deaths occurred in 52.2% of the litters. So if you have a problem, if there is some type of issue, at least 50% more, a little bit more than 50% of the time, you're going to lose puppies, which we've seen. Among females that had been treated within 1 to 4.5 hours after the beginning of second stage of labor, 5.8% of the puppies died, whereas the corresponding value for females that had been treated within 5 and 24 hours after the beginning of the second stage of labor was 13.7%. The total frequency of pup deaths was 22.3%. These findings show that early diagnosis and prompt treatment are crucial in reducing the pup death rate in cases of dystocia, which you guys know I always do. I am Johnny on the spot. If I notice a female is having a problem, I will do my best to get the puppy out. If I can't, if I notice that something else is going wrong, I take my dog to the vet. And because of that, I have not lost a female, knock on wood, but haven't lost a female yet. And of the puppies that we lost, there was just, as you guys saw, even within puppies that were taken at the right time, they still had loss of life. So it's just the reality of the situation. Thank you, Bridget. Now I want to talk about just in general, because this was what my question was. I really wanted to know, like, what is the general rate of mortality in large breed dogs? Okay. And this is a study based upon that. All right. So the canine neonatal period refers to the first 2 to 3 weeks of life. The rate of stillborn and neonatal death is known to be relatively high in dogs, not large breed dogs, in dogs. Okay. So either all of these other Corso breeders have these miraculous litters where God himself is raining down healing powers, or all these people are lying or not telling you when they're losing puppies. Okay? Now you can take a guess as to which one you think it is. Is it divine intervention, or are these people just not telling everybody whenever they lose puppies? Your guess is as good as mine. But we see here in a study that the neonatal death is known to be relatively high in dogs. The few studies that have been published indicate a mortality of 17 to 30% within the first 8 weeks of life. Okay? That correlates perfectly with the experience that I've had. This right here proves that I do not have more deaths in my program than any other breeder out there. The only difference is that I'm honest about what's going on in my program. That's the difference. And because I'm honest about it, I am being attacked by other people. Let that sink in for a minute. The high mortality rate in canine neonates are related to many factors, including prolonged labor, maternal neglect or carelessness, lack of milk, plus congenital abnormalities and acquired disorders in the neonate. The immature status of the newborn puppies makes them vulnerable and totally dependent on intensive care from the dam. Important part, puppies are born, blind, deaf. They can't even go to the bathroom on their own. They are much less developed than other animals when they're born. They're highly susceptible to hypothermia. They cannot induce peripheral, let's see if I can do this one, vasoconstriction, or react to low temperature by shivering. Funny story. I had some people claim that I had puppies seizing because there was video of my puppies shivering when they were older as they developed their shivering reflex, which was really funny. It's so wild to me. So people are so uneducated about the development of puppies that when they see the natural process of puppies developing the shiver reflex, they literally think the puppy is having a seizure. That's how uneducated people are. And as you can see here, what they just said is they can't shiver when they're young, and they obviously have to develop that in time. let's see here. The energy requirement is high, but the energy reserves are low, and the immature liver is inefficient in generating energy. This makes the neonate predisposed to hypoglycemia. Due to immature kidney function, there is an increased risk of dehydration. The neonates have a high percentage of body water, 82%, compared to the adults, who have a greater loss of water through their lungs and skin due to the large surface to volume ratio, which further increases the risk of dehydration. Let's see here. So we're going to go down to the results. So a total number of 744 puppies were born, 362 males, 366 females, 16 of unknown gender, which I don't know what that means, giving a mean litter of 7.6 puppies to the litter. Okay, so we're basically saying that there's 7.6 puppies in a litter. An average of 0.8 puppies per litter, half a puppy, no, just joking. So 10.9% were. There were no reports of any mummified fetuses, although Reese has actually seen that before. During the first 3 weeks of life, the mortality rate of live-born puppies, meaning that they came out fine, everything seemed fine, was 6.9%. 6.9% for a puppy that otherwise would seem normal, fine, seems like it's going to make it. They still died, of which the majority, 64%, died within the first 3 days. Now, who has been watching my channel long enough to know that I have not ever had a puppy die after the first 3 days? I haven't. Other than the litter that died of a virus, I haven't ever had anything like that. So everything that I've experienced is perfectly normal and to be expected within dog breeding, and yet people are accusing me of having a problem. It says here only 5 puppies died or were euthanized during the first 5 weeks of life. So there's a conclusion to discussion down here. The major cause of reduced litter size were stillborn puppies, as 10.9% of the puppies are stillborn, reducing. We already talked about that. The incidence of stillbirth is higher than reported in other studies, which is actually what we're talking about is large breed dogs. So what they're stating is that in other studies of all breeds, large breeds had more stillborns, reported 7% stillborn litters of 111 breeds. And in a study of 413 boxer litters, 5.5% of the puppies were stillborn. The high incidence of stillborn in our study may be due to the more complete registration of stillbirths, as the breeders prior to the birth of the litter had signed a contract to record the information in a prospective study. Another factor, thank you, Shay. Another factor was most probably that the average litter size was higher in our study, 7.6, which you guys know I have even bigger litters than that, compared to these other studies. So they're saying that they had more stillburns because they have a bigger litter, and I have even bigger litters than that. So, I don't know what to say about that. Our study showed a significant relationship between litter size and stillbirth. The average litter size was significantly higher in litters with stillborn puppies compared to litters where they were all born alive. In 2/3 of the litters, there were no stillborn puppies. Nearly 1/3, 31% of all the stillborn puppies were found in 4 litters. 10 of these puppies were from one single litter, which is 12% of all stillborn puppies in the study. This might indicate that in a larger study, like the studies of Bowden, blah, 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 the rate of stillbirth will be lower, as a smaller number of litters with a catastrophically high rate of stillborns will have less influence on the prevalence of stillborns in the population. Now, in reference to stillborns, I don't have that many of those either. I've had 2 in Velocity's litter, but I will say that one of them was a gigantic puppy, the biggest puppy I've ever seen born, and it was just stuck. It was just a stuck puppy. And then, of course, Kashmir has had, I think, 2 of them. So we don't really have the highest amount either. Let's see here. Normally stillbirth, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so the puppy loss during the first 3 weeks of life was 6.9% in our study. During the next 5 weeks, another 5 puppies died or were euthanized. The puppy loss from birth to 8 weeks was 7.5%. This is less than reported in other studies. In the study of Bowden, the mortality of live puppies born from 0 to 3 weeks was 23.9%, not including stillbirths or puppies destroyed at birth due to deformities, weaklings, lain on by the female, or euthanized due to wrong color. Oh my God. I know of a breeder, I'm not going to say her name, really big breeder, who used to take a hammer to puppies that were the wrong color. I find that to be absolutely atrocious. I don't know how you can be a breeder and do something horrible like that. Let me see. Hopper found that 15% of the puppies that were born alive died during the first week. 15%. That's ridiculous. It's a very high number. It's a lot. It pretty much guarantees that if you are going to breed dogs, you will have puppies die. That is a guarantee. You will have puppies die. If you are a breeder, you will lose puppies. Period. And this woman that attacked me, she's only had 1 litter. And there's no telling if she lost any puppies, because Lord knows she probably wouldn't be honest about it. So anyway, so I guess that's really all I have to say. Like I said, I kind of, so for a while, I would talk about haters, and then everybody was like, oh, you shouldn't do that, blah, 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 blah. And so I stopped talking about them, and I stopped responding to them. And the fear that I had of people, like, of basically kind of like, so a lie is like a little rolling, no, not a rolling stone, because a rolling stone catches no moss, or whatever they call it. So like a snowball, right? You take a little bitty snowball and you start rolling it. And as you roll it, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what I saw happening to the stories and the lies that were being told about me. The more that I ignored the people, and the more that I ignored the accusations, the more people believed them, because basically nobody could understand why. And I saw people commenting this, why, if those things weren't true, why I wouldn't defend myself. And I recognize that you can't defend everything. You mean, because you'll just spend your whole time addressing all these things, right? And I recognize that. But at a certain point, you have an obligation to defend yourself, to say the truth. Whether or not people want to believe it or not, that's an entirely different story. There will always be a certain part of the population that is not going to believe it, that is not going to listen, that's not going to do the research, that's not even going to listen to what you have to say. Nothing you can do about that. Those people cannot be helped, and they cannot be reached. And I'm fine with that. The people that I care about are the innocent bystanders that are just witnessing it. And they don't know what is or is not true. And they just believe that. And I've had so many accusations made. And oftentimes on the channel, I joke about, well, what are they going to come up with next? Well, this is it. Apparently, I shouldn't be breeding because I have an abnormal amount of problems in my birthing females. I lose a lot of puppies, apparently. I have a lot of issues. It's all my fault. Shouldn't be breeding. Apparently, I need to take a closer look, yada, yada, yada. But the reality is that that's not the truth. The reality is that I'm being honest. And the way the brain works, right, is it's like a safety mechanism, okay? This is where a lot of things like racism and sexism come from. So, and I'm going to bring it to a dog, right? So let's say, for example, that you've never had a dog, okay? And you're walking down the street and you get bitten by a pit bull, okay? The brain wants to tell you, beware of pit bulls, okay? And where that comes from is if you were a caveman and you were out in nature, and let's say that a snake bit you or a tiger attacked you, the need to learn right away that something that is bad needs to be avoided because survival is the brain's job. Its job is to keep you alive. And so what it wants to do is take a single variable and place a lot of importance on it so that you'll pay attention to it. And that's why when somebody has a bad experience with one person of one race, all of a sudden they decide, oh, well, this race is bad. Or they have a bad experience with the person of the opposite sex. Well, all of those people from that gender are bad. Or when they have a bad experience with a dog or a breed of dog, well, all of those are bad. It's not, it's a primitive way that the brain works to try to keep you alive. And you're supposed to have common sense and logic and critical thinking skills to be able to recognize that that thought process is wrong. It is an outdated, primitive way of thinking that we no longer need, but still exists in the brain. And it gets us into a lot of trouble. And this is an example of that. People see me posting the reality of breeding dogs, but because they've never seen anybody post about it, they think that I have a problem that I don't really have because they don't have any other statistics or variables to compare my experience with. So they think I have a problem when I don't really have a problem. And the only people that are going to be able to recognize that that's not true are people that have enough experience to know that that's not true. Other breeders who are honest, and people that maybe were friends with breeders or people that work in veterinary sciences, people that have experience, or people that are just willing to actually do some Googling like I just did. Those that don't have the experience, those that don't want to learn or educate themselves will go with that. I call it lazy thinking. They have a thought and they're like, oh, it must be right. And just because you have a thought doesn't make it right. We all want to believe we're intelligent people. We all do. Everybody thinks they're smart. Everybody's their own, even if they don't want to admit it, even if they say, oh, I'm stupid, deep down, they think they're smart. You may not think you're a genius, but a lot of people have a lot of faith in what they believe. And there's nothing wrong with that. You should. The problem is where you never try to check yourself. You know what I mean? You should always be, critical thinking. You should always be kind of fact checking yourself and just making sure that you're on the right track and that it's kind of like a duty, like a community duty. We should all be doing that. And unfortunately, just not enough people do it. So I wanted to make this video to kind of clear that up. If you are a fan of mine and you happen to see somebody make that kind of statement about me, feel free to share this video. Feel free to share any of these studies that I've just posted and try to educate them. Maybe it won't work. Maybe it will work. Maybe it won't work on the individual that you're talking to, but maybe other people that are looking will see it and maybe they will be educated. Because that is the point of my channel. The point of my channel is to educate. It's not to sit around and pretend that I'm the best breeder in the world and that I don't have any problems, because Lord knows that there are a lot better and easier ways for me to try to come off as perfect and better and all of that stuff. It certainly wouldn't be posting all of the hardships that I have. I wouldn't be doing that. And the reason I don't do that is because that is why people make stupid comments like, well, you're just a breeder and you don't work and you just make money off the backs of your dogs. And I get tired of all of the accusations made against breeders that it isn't a real job, or that you shouldn't have pride in what you do. I hate that. And I wanted to try to show people that it isn't that easy, that it is heartbreak, that it the science, that they're not faring any better than I am. They are having the exact same results that I am. They're just not telling you. They are not being honest. And whether you want to call that lying or not, whether it be blatantly lying if they're flat out saying that they don't have those issues, or lying by omission by not saying anything about them having these issues, and yet, saying anything about me, um, you know, that's a problem. So is somebody saying that the stream is down? So somebody can tell me can you hear me now? No, it's okay. Okay, good. So that's my point. I will always be honest. I will always keep doing me. I will always put out the information that I believe is factual and true. If I'm wrong, I will say so. If I think I'm right, I will say why, and I'll post receipts and studies as to why I believe that I'm right. And if the science changes, which oftentimes science does, I'll be the first person to say, you know what, let me go look that up. Because I don't like being stuck in my way. I don't believe in that. You know what I mean? Life is evolving. Life is changing. Research is changing. We need to be malleable. We need to always be willing to have an open mind and learn and grow. And that's my premise. And I will always continue to do that. As for the individual that attacked me, I will cover that. Like I said, this happened a while back, literally a couple weeks ago, I think now. And I really thought long and hard about whether or not I wanted to actually talk about this. And going through our messages, seeing that email today really just made me realize that, and seeing her posting all the time and she portrays herself as this sweet, innocent, soft, person, this like timid person, and she's not. She's not. And I feel that it is necessary for people to know. I don't, there are other people that I'll be honest with you. There are other people that I've noticed getting on YouTube, people that I know that I don't feel have any right trying to make videos on YouTube because they don't know anything. And it's like putting the cart before the horse. But I'm not going to get on here and say anything about them because it's up at a certain point, it's up to the viewers to recognize who they should be taking information from and who they should not. Who is credible enough, who has the experience. If you're going to get information from somebody that has no experience, that's on you. Your choice. This is America. Do what you want, okay? But if you are going to accept my help and I'm going to go out of my way to help you, and I'm going to and you're going to ask me for things, and we're going to talk and blah blah blah, and then you go and attack me over like nothing and tell me that I'm a bad person. Another thing that she said was that I was just as bad as all the people had said that I was. That was another thing that really bothered me. She said, let me find it real quick. That one really, really got me. I was like, what? Let me see. She said, doom to doom to doom. Boop, 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 boop. What did it say? Where is it at? She said, no, this is before she stopped commenting. Let's see here. Where's it at? Let me see here. Where is it at? Okay, here we go. Let me see here. I think she actually deleted that comment because I responded to it, and yeah, I think she actually deleted that one because I kind of went off on her on that one. Yeah, so I said, this is my response. She clearly deleted it. I said, this is my question. What have you done for me? You claim I'm as bad as other people claim, yet I helped you when everybody was laughing at you in your channel. I took time out of my day to talk to you on the phone multiple times to help you. That's the kind of person that I am. What have you ever done for me? What kindness have you shown me? Is this how you treat people when you are who help you when you are down? You stabbed me in the back the minute you had a chance to be a part of the breed club. You're selfish, self-serving, and your actions speak for themselves. So she clearly deleted that one, or I'm missing it. Or edit it. No, you can't edit on Instagram. I don't think I'm missing it. She did say, I tried to give you the benefit of the doubt and stood up for you publicly. Now, I want to just say that she did not stand up for me publicly. This is the kind of person and it really ticked me off. So somebody confused her channel with mine because she did a video where she was talking about hip scores in the breed. And she mentioned my dog a dog that I bred, not my dog, that had some of the best hip scores that she had ever been able to find. And she posted my channel link in the description of her video. And a person on Facebook thought that she was me, and they kind of went after her. And then somebody else clarified and was like, no, that's not her. She just made a video talking about mentioning this woman and put the website address, but that's not her. And then the person was like, oh, okay, blah, blah, blah. I don't like this person. And when she thinks that she stood up for me, what she said was, there's good and bad with all breeders. And that person mentioned all of the ads on her website. And then she kind of just was like, well, breeding is expensive and we don't make any money. And I try to make ends meet where I can, trying to justify all the ads on her website. And her defending me was, and I'm pretty sure I can find that post, because it had to do with, it was on a post having to do with her video talking about how to use the Cane Corso pedigree database. And I don't consider somebody saying, well, there's good and bad about all breeders as defending me. I call that weak ass shit. I'm just going to say it hopefully it's late enough at night that nobody, no kids are up. But if I help you, if I talk to you, if I go out of my way to help you for free, mind you, you can say that. She didn't. She didn't say anything I ever did for her. She didn't mention not one single good thing I've ever done. All she said was, well, there's good and bad of all breeders. Wow. You sure are a political hack. You're in the wrong business, buddy. Way to not choose a side. Way to be passive to the umpteenth degree. That is not taking my side. That is being well, I'm not going to throw Switzerland under the bus, but everybody knows what I mean by that. I mean, it's bull crap. It's bull crap. You're not taking my side when you say something like that. If there's good about me, why don't you mention something, buddy? Because I got a lot of people that defend me, and they don't just, well, there's good and bad about all breeders. That's oh my God, like, bleh, you know what I mean? Like, bleh. When I read that, I was like, oh, okay, I see where we stand. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's not defending. So that's just a person that doesn't want to make any enemies. That's a person that wants everybody to like them. You know what I mean? And I hate that. I hate that. As they say, if you stand for nothing, what's the quote? If you stand for nothing, you can be tricked of I don't know what it is, but you guys know what I mean. I'm too mad right now to even remember, and it's freaking almost 3:00 in the morning. But if you can't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. I think that's what it is, and that's exactly the kind of person she is. And I just, anyway, I just like I said, she can be as weak as she wants to be. She can be as passive as she wants to be. She can be as fake as she wants to be. But don't backstab me after I helped you. And don't point a finger at me and make accusations about me that are untrue after I helped you. Don't do it, because I will come for you. And that's the truth. I don't go around attacking people. I mind my business. I do my own thing. The only time when I can say that I'm wrong, that I was guilty of that, was whenever I mentioned another breeder on YouTube's white Corso. That I will say, that person didn't pick a fight with me. I will admit that. That's one time where I kind of did, stir the pot. It was just annoying, and I shouldn't have done it, but they made this whole video about the rarest dog in the world. And it was, I just, as somebody who values the breed, I was just like, I don't think that anybody needs to be encouraging this, and I don't think the dog is purebred. I still don't think the dog was purebred, but that is an example where I did not keep my nose in my own business, and I believe in taking responsibility when necessary. And I removed my videos because of that, because it was wrong of me to do that. And I've made a vow to be better, because I had to learn. They don't have classes on how to handle YouTube. No one gives you advice on how to handle having an audience, okay? And it's something you have to learn. And as that Spider-Man, was it Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility. I had to learn how to manage my platform in a responsible way. It's not something that came naturally or easy to me. I don't think it comes naturally to a lot of people. And I had to learn. And so that's why I made that vow later on. I'm not going to mention that stuff. Don't ask me about other breeders, because I'm not going to talk about them. But this person, this is different, because she went after me publicly. She's the one that made it public, not me. That's the difference. So, and like I said, I just feel like she stabbed me in the back. So there will be a lot more. She did a whole lot more than this. And there will be a lot more on that. And I want to be very clear. I am not asking for anybody, nor do I condone anybody going on to her channel and attacking her. Because the reality is that will blow back on me. Everybody will look at that and say, oh, look, Rachel sent her followers over there. Rachel, even though, she said not to, but she knew what they would do, blah, 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 right? Like, it will only hurt me if you guys go and attack her. My point, the only thing that matters to me is that you know who she really is. That's the point. I want you to be able to see past the rosy, innocent, I'm just so sweet and I'm just so good and I'm just so perfect and special and blah, 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 this little fake persona that she likes to put up. I want you to know what's behind that smile, because I may not come off as sweet and nice and cuddly and all of those wonderful things that, people like to see in a person, but I'm real and I'm honest. And I'm not going to put on a fake personality just to make people like me. So That's just who I am. You don't have to like me. I don't need people to like me. All I need is to be able to go to sleep at night knowing that I can live with myself because I am who I am and I'm honest. And that's what's important to me. And if that means that I have less subscribers because people think that I'm a loudmouth and that I'm mean and blah blah blah, then that's fine with me. Because at least I can feel good about the fact that I'm an honest person because that matters to me. So that's what it is. And that's the only reason. I'm not going to make a habit of going after other people. And I don't want people to ask me about other breeders. You know, I believe in people doing their own research. I wouldn't want somebody to believe crap about me just because somebody said it. Why would I do that to other people? I don't want to create an atmosphere or a habit of people thinking that it's okay to just take somebody's word for how bad another person is. You know what I mean? It's not a good thing, which is why I provide evidence for things that I say, which is why whenever I make this video, I will have screenshots. I will have all of that stuff so that you will not just have to take my word for it. You will see it, just like I told you about the post on my Instagram page where you can see the things that she said. So other than that, the only thing that I can do is the only and I can provide evidence to the fact that I did that she did contact me for help. So I wouldn't make that accusation if I couldn't back it up. I have screenshots of all that too. So I will mention the channel the next time when I do the full video. I'm not going to mention it now. I want all of my ducks in a row. But the people that know who this person is, they will already know. There were some comments on my Instagram post by people that could really see through her crap anyway. They could just tell. You know what I mean? A person that can't control their dogs, that is breeding dogs with no health testing, dogs of mediocre bloodlines, can't recognize structure, ended up, whenever they did health test their dog, found out that the male that they bred was dysplastic. A person that knowingly and openly admits on their channel all the time that they're not an expert and they don't know what they're doing should not have a channel where they try to teach people. If you don't know anything, then you have nothing to teach. Therefore, you shouldn't be actively teaching. It's just ridiculous. I think what she does is she knows that people are going to attack her and make statements. So what she does is she beats you to the chase. She basically kicks herself, says what she knows you would want to say. That way you can't say it. And she kind of just throws herself at the feet of these people in the Corso community that want people to bow to them. And is like, oh, I don't know anything. Ha 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 ha. I don't know anything. Please. You're right. You're totally right. Thanks for thanking everybody for. Oh, thank you. Yeah, definitely. Blah blah blah. I've never seen so much brown nosing in my life, and I have no respect for that. No respect for it at all. Have some backbone. So anyway, I need to go to bed because I have a call tomorrow at 11:30 or noon with somebody trying to kind of work through this whole Jimmy thing. We kind of reached out to a person in the breed club and we're trying to kind of sort through some stuff and get some stories straight. So I have that call, and so I need to get to bed so that I'm not, tired or whatever. But yeah, I just couldn't sleep. It was just on my mind. Like I said, I got that email. And the thing about it is, and I want to be very clear because the girl that wrote that email is probably going to watch this. I don't care about your opinion of me. You're only mad because we blocked you off the channel. In fact, you were blocked a long time ago, back whenever Melina's litter was born, and you only recently realized it, probably because your ego couldn't take the fact that nobody was interacting with your posts, and you probably signed into another account and realized that your comments were actually hidden. And then she contacts me and says all these things. And I don't care what you think. That's why we blocked you in the first place. We didn't block you, we hid you because we still wanted the benefit of you interacting with the channel. That's just the truth. But it isn't that bothers me. What bothers me is that I never openly spoke about this girl, this woman, this breeder. And you had the audacity to claim that I was bullying her and I had no right to talk about her like that just because she's soft-spoken and I'm a loudmouth and I have a bigger channel. That's not what happened, sweetheart. That is not what happened. And I'm sick and tired of people thinking that I'm a bully just because I have a dominant personality. It's crappy. And it's why I'm attracted to powerful dog breeds and why I was attracted to pit bulls whenever I was younger. People think I'm anti-pit bull. It's the funniest thing in the world to me. But I empathize with being looked at as a problem simply because I refuse to be a victim and because I refuse to accept to be passive and submissive. And I appreciate the dominance and the fight in these breeds. I love it. I want to see that. I would be bored with a breed like a Labrador. I like the fire in these dogs, and because it's in me. That's who I am. I've always been that way, and I don't like anybody trying to make a case that because you're not somebody that makes everybody feel good, that somehow you're a bad person. There are all different kinds of people and personalities in the world. And just because somebody's not like you doesn't make them a bad person. So there. So that's for that girl. Don't care what you said. Didn't read your whole email, just so you know. You wasted your time writing all that mess. Anyway, so enough of that. I'm done. I need to go to bed. I should have already been in bed. And I will not delete this later like people like to post. Not going to delete this later. I firmly agree with everything that I said. I said what I said, and you guys know how I roll. It is what it is. So I appreciate you joining me. I hope that you enjoyed this hot, steaming cup of tea. And with that, I will wish you adieu and good night.